Hello, I'm Emily and I'm an educator at MOHAI, and this is Collection Connections, Objects in Question, where we take a quick peek into Seattle history by taking a really close look at one item in our teaching collection to see what it can tell us about the past. Today, we're going to be exploring building and construction, and this is our object. But first, let's have a think. So, when I think about building and construction in Seattle's past, I think of so many different things. One of the things that I think about are different periods of population growth and construction booms that have happened in Seattle over time, like during the Klondike Gold Rush, or after the Great Seattle Fire, or perhaps during World War I when people were coming to Seattle for work, like in the shipbuilding industries. And another thing that I think about are different iconic Seattle buildings, like the Space Needle, or the Central Library, or Rainier Tower downtown. And I also think about different jobs like architects and contractors and welders, electricians, masons, carpenters, and demolitionists. And when I think about all of these different jobs, I also think about trade unions, which are organizations of workers who do similar jobs and they come together to bargain with their employer for their interests as workers, and the role of these trade unions in Seattle's history. And I think about the tools of the trade, some things like hammers, nails, saws, and I think about the materials that these might be used with, like wood and brick and concrete and plaster, and things you might wear as you're doing this work, like hard hats and tool belts and nice steel-toed boots. Those are some of the things that I think about when I think about building and construction in Seattle's past. This is the object we'll be exploring today. Our first step is to use our senses to make as many observations as possible. Now, the first thing that I notice is the material. It looks like it's almost entirely made of wood. It's got a nice caramel color, and it's nice and hard and smooth, and it does have a little bit of grain that we can see. And then there is this one piece of metal kind of sitting over here. And I can't really tell how it's put together. Maybe there's a hidden screw on the inside because this piece looks separate from the main block. And shapes, it looks pretty rectangular for the most part, except there are these rounded edges over here on the top. And there's also this knob over here that kind of reminds me of a chess pawn. And then this piece of wood over here is angled and it looks like a rectangle. And then this piece of metal is also mostly rectangular, but has kind of a trapezoid end to it. And then as far as condition goes, I mean, it looks pretty worn. It looks like maybe there was a sticker here. There's some scratches and some discoloration on the wood itself, but it's pretty sturdy. No moving pieces, really. And then when I flip it over on the bottom, I can see better that there is a hole here. And the hole kind of goes through to the other side. And the blade, it kind of feels like a blade, this metal bit, is sticking out past the bottom of the block, which is interesting. Now, putting things together, I'm thinking that this is a hand tool. There seems to be no sign of electricity going on here, so this is something that you would use by hand. And it's not really a very big cutting surface. So I don't think that this could really cut through something super thick. It wouldn't be for chopping something. Maybe it would be used to cut wood because it's kind of a small blade. I'm not entirely sure what it might be beyond that though. Look at that. So this looks like a photo of a construction site. It reminds me of a lot of the construction sites that I see around town, kind of in the early stages of construction where they're just building the frames of a house. And I also see some tools like a saw and some just blank pieces of wood lying around, which also gives me a clue that this is a construction site. And one thing that I notice in this photo is that there are lots of pieces of wood that are very straight and fitting perfectly together. And that gives us a little bit of a clue about this object. So it is a woodworking tool, and it's called a carpenter's plane. And carpenter's planes are used to smooth and shape the surfaces of wood. Flat-bottomed planes, like this one, are used to straighten and kind of make the edges perfect or level pieces of wood. And there are also different kinds of planes, like ones with right angles that are used for making kind of corners, and ones that are convex or curved like the outside of a ball that are used for different purposes. And the way that it works is that this piece of wood holds the blade in place at an angle, and this handle is used, and we would move it this way forward, which is a little counterintuitive to me to kind of use a handle at the front of something, but it is much safer to push a blade away from you. And it's just got this little opening here, which you can see, that lets the shavings slide through. Now, what does this tell us about building and construction in Seattle? I think one of the things that this shows us is some of the changes in the tools over the time. So modern woodworking planes are made of metal, and we can see that this one's made mostly of wood, which is pretty interesting. Another thing that it tells us is just kind of about the detail and precision that is needed in woodworking. This really isn't a big area for a blade to be cutting, and so this is really for some detailed work. And then another thing that I think that this tells us is just kind of how physical this job can be. So if you are kind of pushing this along wood over and over, and you have something like this amount of wood that we can see in the photo, plus more that you're working with and you want to make sure is absolutely perfect, that'll probably get pretty exhausting. One of the things that I'm still curious about are all the different kinds of woodworking tools that people around the time that this photo was taken might have been using. Maybe our neighbors at the Center for Wooden Boats can help me with that. What are you curious about? To explore some of your history questions, you can visit our online collection or the MOHAI website. That's mohai.org. And you can also email us at education@mohai.org if you have any requests for future collection connection, objects in question, topic requests. Thanks for watching.